So I'm quite honestly not even surprised that this is unraveling. This story is unraveling as quickly as it formed. As quickly as it took flame, it's unraveling by the day. Now, more victims, or quote unquote victims, of Tristan and Andrew Tate have dropped their cases. So if this doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what will. I don't know what will convince people that something very, very sketchy and sinister is going on here. If this doesn't do it, I don't know what will. If you like content like this, please make sure you leave your recommendations down below. Welcome to Goals and Growth. I'm going to please ask you to subscribe to the channel. Our next big target for the channel is 10k subscribers. I can only get there with the help of each one of you. Feel free to go and download my free motivational ebooks down below in the description. Completely 100% absolutely free, and you will benefit in some way, shape or form. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let's check this out.
Some women are dropping their case against Andrew Tate and Tristan. Some good news after they was arrested the other day, and now they got to fight a UK case too. It says that 3 women who made sexual allegations against the controversial influencer Andrew Tate and his brother in Romania dropped their complaint. Finally, we see a mainstream newspaper actually talking positive for once about the Tates and their situation being dropped, because when it's happened in the past, they do not cover it. And only the Daily Mail have really made articles. Nothing's come from the BBC on it. So an update on the Romania case as it stands. It says the women basically dropped their complaint. Mail Online can reveal 1 woman was removed from the case last month. Another 2 asked to be declassified as victims at a hearing behind closed doors in Romania. It means that 7 women who originally made accusations of rape and human trafficking, only 3 remain, and judges will now have to decide to proceed with the case or not.
Okay, so already, it's if you are truly a victim of a crime like this, you would stick to that case. You would stick to that case no matter what. I mean, yes, there's threats, there's blackmail. Of course, there are things like that out there. Those tactics do work, and those tactics are used. But in the same sense, you have to think to yourself that, you know, this number of women just dropping their cases left, right, and center is indicative of something very sketchy, right, with this whole accusation. But before we continue, make sure you leave me your thoughts down below. Do you still think they are guilty or not guilty? Leave me your thoughts down below.
Andrew Tate said, I cut through 5 random females I know together after one American girl who was here for 6 days got caught by her boyfriend at her house. The one coming and going freely on CCTV told her boyfriend she was trapped here. All of those 5 females are screaming in court they're not victims and to let us go. There are 0 victims. No one wants to be a victim. The court got excited by one girl lying and instructed to attack us even though they thought she was lying. They told me they know she was lying. Officers said that to me. Everyone implicated is abandoning this as fast as they can. Who instructed this? Who started this mess? Who's really behind it all? This has nothing to do with girls or TikToks. I'll tell you if they let me go. I'll tell you if they lock me up. It will be released if they kill me. This is a matrix attack.
Doesn't look to me as if they're trapped. I mean,
will be released if they kill me. This is a matrix attack. Before we get into what Tristan had to say on this as well, Andrew Tate literally saying there's 0 victims, and we're getting at a good place in this case now. More and more victims are getting exposed as not being victims, and I think at some point this case is going to get dropped in the near future. So stay posted to the channel, and then we have to go on to that UK case as well, which would be a whole nother battle.
You know what? I always say, if you're guilty, you're guilty. If you're guilty, karma's going to catch up to you. You are going to get caught. You are going to get prosecuted at some stage. You can't run forever. You can't get away forever. But if you are not guilty, and you know, in their case, I was a bit skeptical. I was at one stage a bit skeptical, and I said to myself, well, you know what, maybe they are. But at the same time now, with this news coming out, I'm regaining my confidence in them. I'm regaining my trust in them. And yeah, we're going to have to see how this pans out further.
Tristan Tate also responded by saying, some of my victims are real victims. The issue is, if you call a girl a victim of human trafficking publicly, you know what it does to her? People assume she's worked as a hooker, a stripper, or a drug mule. It's a horrifying thing to be labelled. These women are truly victims, but not of me. They're victims of people who have conducted this abomination of an investigation. When they tried to explain, the Tates were social media stars, and everybody, from me to their dentist to their personal trainer, asked them for helping to grow on social media. So did I. That is the reason I got labeled a victim.
Yeah.
Who's going to believe them? Future boyfriends and husbands, employers? Surely not. People assume they're executives or drug mules and their names are tarnished forever. That's absolutely horrifying. I want justice for everybody. And as God is my witness, we will have it.
There we go.
So yeah, that's most likely why they was arrested recently in a UK case, because the Romania one is quite simply falling apart. But why are they still coming at them? In a recent video on Rumble, Tate was actually
Yeah, I actually want to know where that UK extradition came from, or where that particular case came from. We know that the most recent arrest was because of the UK government trying to extradite them back to the UK. I'm interested to know in what they actually found, or what they supposedly found.
Explaining the reasons behind them coming at him recently.
Perspicacity and sheer indefatigability managed to conquer the entire Earth and become the most Googled and respected human on the face of the planet. This man held massive affinity with the masculine youth. The masculine youth was the number one subsect of the population that they try their hardest to psyop.
Yep.
These men are needed to be slaves. They must build the roads. They must die in wars. They do not want the masculine youth to know the truth. These are the ones they must psyop the hardest, because if they get together in a big group, understanding how corrupt and deranged this world is, revolutions happen. It's not a demonstration when men get angry. It's a revolution. It's only a demonstration when women get angry. So in this hypothetical scenario, when this person became massively influential, he was approached with a
offer,
sponsorship contract, it was called. And for this sponsorship, he'd get $50 million. And he'd have official opinions, official views, which he's only allowed to say. On certain subjects, he would take certain positions, certain sides.
It's actually funny because Tate is a rare beast and people don't...
It is scary because that is something that I will believe. I do believe that there's some higher... I'm not even talking about governments. I'm talking about some elite power that basically tries to shut you up, that will tell you that if you don't say this and you don't do this, this is going to happen. But if you do, well, here's a little bit of money. I do believe.
Don't appreciate it because everyone takes money at a certain level. Everyone signs a contract to not have this freedom.
Correct.
But Tate is a person that speaks freely, and that's why he will always have an audience. And people are starting to see through people like Little Nas and Sam Smith, who truly push a negative and nasty influence on the kids. They should be the ones getting banned from schools, not the Tate brothers.
There would be certain topics he was not allowed to talk about at all. He'd even dress a certain way.
Yeah.
You know? A little bit more fruity.
This is allowed now. So that is allowed, but Tate's not allowed in schools. Okay, cool.
Not sure of your trading style. Copy the strategy of the best. Let top traders...
And the goal was, in this hypothetical scenario, is that this person who came along and inspired hope to combat the demons would sell his soul for $50 million. And he'd change teams.
Ridiculous.
And he'd be sponsored and he'd be protected by the media. Because when you're sponsored by a very large company, the media doesn't attack.
No, obviously, because the media is controlled by them.
The poster child of the people who fund them. Please understand, you have a newspaper. There is a company which pays millions in advertising to this newspaper.
Correct.
So this newspaper cannot attack the poster child of that company because then they'll cut the advertising. So you're protected by the MSM. The media won't print bad things about you anymore.
Yeah.
In this hypothetical scenario, if this person would have agreed to this deal, the media wouldn't have slandered him every single day for 365 days, lying about him, saying he's a human trafficker when he's done absolutely nothing wrong. But when their own people inside of their own organizations get caught committing sexual crime...
This is an obvious shot at the BBC that Andrew Tate's had been for a while. So Jimmy Savile, one of their own, they pushed him on so many different platforms, give him loads of shows. That was them pushing a actual person who's done wrong. And Tate is literally villainized now. And that is the genuine person. They always get it wrong, the wrong way round. But I guess Tate could have sold his soul to an MSM and been one of their puppets, but we need more people actually standing up.
He could very well have, but at the same time, why does bro need $50 million? He's got a lot more than that. And I think that's part of the reason. It's not the only reason. I do believe that even though I don't know him personally, he does look like a man of integrity. And you know what? I do respect him because he stands by that integrity. He stands by what he says. And I mean, yes, old Tate in the earlier days did say some wild shit. We talked about that. And we did say some things that weren't necessarily morally and ethically correct. But at the same time, now I think after this whole episode, he's come to the realization that he needs to stand by who he truly is.
To the mainstream media and pushing true masculine excellence and standing for something.
The demons would come along to this man and they would try and offer him money.
Yeah.
For him to sell his soul. Now, if he had money, he might say no. If he had money, he might say yes. I guess it depends how pure his heart is. But if he had no money, it would sure be a lot more tempting.
Yes.
Tate's main message overall is literally just telling people to get rich to have freedom. Of course, if you do not have money, you're susceptible to be able to take money off people that could push agendas to you that you don't truly believe. But you need money to pay the bills of your family. So right now, take it serious. I've got a real world link in the description.
All right.
This is the
All right, guys. That's the end of that video. But let me know your thoughts. I mean, it's getting ridiculous now, and it's looking like a complete circus now, with the media trying to dig up every single little piece of content online. It's just a desperate attempt at absolutely that's going to have no end to it. No means it's going to tarnish their reputation somewhat, and ultimately I think the public is going to see through it. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe, turn on the post notifications. As per usual, see you next time.